A mastermind whose mind hatched a plan that became the biggest bank heist in history. A scheme straight out of a movie script. The police were baffled, the cameras showed nothing, and the money gone in a single night. The question is, how did that mastermind hide it all? And where is that money today?
Fortaleza, Brazil, July 2005. The city buzzed with its usual crowds and noise. No one had any idea that one of the biggest heists in history was about to unfold here. 7 months earlier, a small office opened in a quiet neighborhood under the name Lawns Maintenance. From the outside, it looked like any ordinary business. People assumed it was a place that cared for plants and sold gardening supplies. But the reality was very different. Inside that office, roughly 25 people gathered every day. Their leader was Luiz Fernando Ribeiro, known to his crew as the mastermind. Calm and clever, he had sketched a plan so shocking that his partners were astonished when they heard it. He said, "We won't walk into the bank and rob it. The police and security will never let that happen. We have to go underground." Their plan was to break into the Central Bank of Brazil, the country's most secure bank. Thick walls, guards, CCTV everywhere. But the gang believed they could reach the one place nobody would expect. The scheme began with digging a tunnel. They picked the gardening company's office because it sat roughly 80 meters from the bank. Every night, they worked like laborers and engineers. Hammers, drills, and special noise suppression techniques were used to avoid detection. They dug a tunnel about 80 centimeters high and 70 centimeters wide, low enough that a person had to crawl on their knees. The walls were reinforced with wood and metal. Bulbs were installed to light the work area, and ventilation pipes were fitted to keep air flowing. Work went on day after day, and each night they loaded the excavated soil into trucks and hauled it away. Neighbors thought the company was genuinely doing gardening work. No one suspected that beneath the city, a full tunnel was being built for 7 months. The crew worked from blueprints, measuring every inch to make sure the tunnel would reach the bank vault precisely. There was no margin for error. And finally, one night in August 2005, the tunnel reached beneath the bank's most secure wall. All that remained was to wait for the right moment.
August 5, 2005, Saturday night. The city of Fortaleza, tired from its daily noise, lay in a deep sleep. But inside the gardening maintenance office, the gang of 25 were fully ready. Gloves on, masks tied tight, tools fitted with silencers. Months of work had come down to this final stage. As they descended into the tunnel, everything moved with precise coordination. 3 men led the way with metal cutters and hammers. Behind them were the men holding the lights, and then the rest, all ready for anything. The tunnel was hot and suffocating, but no one spoke. They all knew one mistake and 7 months of work would be ruined. At last, they reached the base of the bank's wall. This was the strongest section, a 30-centimeter layer of reinforced concrete and steel. Now came the most dangerous job. They started the drills. Powerful vibrations and metal biting into concrete. Every second they feared an alarm would trigger. After hours of brutal work, a crack finally appeared. Silence fell across the crew. Everyone held their breath, listening for any sign from above. Nothing happened. Piece by piece, the wall was removed, and the tunnel finally opened into the bank's vault. Once inside, the gang immediately checked cameras and sensors. They were lucky. This section of the vault had no active alarm, and the camera that was there was turned off. Officials had assumed no one could reach this level. For the first time, faint smiles crossed their faces. Now the real theft began. The room held piles of banknotes, heavy bundles stacked on wooden pallets. They decided to take only the highest value bills to maximize cash while minimizing weight. Each member was assigned a load to carry. Bags, trunks, and crates were filled and sent back through the tunnel one by one. The operation continued through the night. Sweat, exhaustion, pounding hearts, and a rising sense of greed. Before dawn, while the city was still preparing to wake up, the crew exited the tunnel with their final haul. The biggest cash heist yet had been completed. Not a soul above ground suspected what had been done or how much had been taken.
Monday morning, August 8th, 2005. The Central Bank of Fortaleza opened its gates as usual. Guards took their posts and employees came inside. Everything seemed normal until the vault door was opened. When the vault swung wide, everyone stood frozen. Torn bundles of banknotes were scattered across the floor, empty pallets and dust everywhere. The bank's treasure was gone. Early counts showed the haul exceeded 160 million Brazilian reals, roughly $70 million. It was the largest bank robbery in history at the time. The whole country was shaken. Headlines read, "No shots fired. The biggest heist in history." For police, it was a baffling mystery how such a massive sum could vanish despite heavy security. No one appeared on the CCTV footage, the guards heard no unusual sounds, and when investigators discovered the 80-meter tunnel, complete with electricity, ventilation, and lighting, they could hardly believe such a project had been built beneath the city for months without anyone noticing. Authorities immediately searched nearby neighborhoods. They found the gardening company, gardening maintenance and supplies. The office was empty. Dust lay on the counter, chairs were overturned, and all paperwork was missing from the cabinets. Inside, they discovered a hidden entrance to the tunnel. Questions mounted. How had such a large operation been kept secret for so long? Neighbors said trucks had arrived at night and hauled away drill spoil, but everyone assumed it was soil or gardening supplies. No one suspected otherwise. Newspapers and TV ran the story non-stop. People began to say this couldn't be the work of ordinary thieves. This was the work of an entire army of criminals, people with engineering, architecture, and professional planning skills. Brazilian police set up checkpoints across the country. Airports, bus stations, highways, searching everywhere, but there was no trace of the gang. Officials believed that with such a massive haul, the crew had likely already fled the region. Yet the most shocking part of the story was still to come. The robbery was complete, but the real game was just beginning.
160 million reals. Hiding such a huge sum wasn't easy. The gang had planned in advance to split the money across different cities and houses. Bundle after bundle of cash was hidden inside walls, buried under floors, and even stuffed into mattresses and sofas. But after such a massive haul, the biggest fear surfaced: how to hide from the police and how to stay safe from one another. For the first few weeks, everything seemed quiet. The police had nothing, and the gang lay low in their safe houses. But greed began to take hold. Some members suddenly started living lavishly: new cars, expensive homes, lavish parties, and that turned out to be their biggest mistake. Brazil's federal police kept a close watch. Gradually, one clue at a time, they started to close in. Low-level members were arrested first, and interrogations revealed the names of others. Raids were carried out across the country. Many arrests followed. Luiz Fernando Ribeiro, the gang's mastermind, was also captured near the end of 2005. But strangely, the police were never able to recover the full sum. More than half of the money remains missing to this day. And that's where the mystery deepens. It's widely believed that much of the loot ended up in the hands of Brazil's mafia and drug cartels. Several arrested criminals were reportedly killed so they couldn't reveal the money's whereabouts. Some were even murdered in prison. The story still fascinates people across Brazil. Many believe this wasn't just the work of a single gang, but that organized crime played a major role. Official reports estimated that more than 3 tons of banknotes were taken, so much cash that hiding and spending it would be nearly impossible. Yet the money was never found. Today, the Fortaleza Central Bank Heist is still counted as one of the world's largest and most mysterious bank robberies. A heist with no gunfire and no bloodshed, yet billions of reals vanished from one of the country's most secure places without a sound. And the same question remains unanswered. Where did the missing money go?